Hi guys, it's me Faye here at Faye Dusk, and I know I look awful, and I feel quite rough, I feel quite hot all of a sudden, I don't know why, but no, I look vile, but I apologise, it's my day off, or should I say, like I've had the last shift before my holiday now, so I'm just trying to catch up with a few little bits, so I still have some stuff ticking over while I'm gone, so part of that obviously is why you're seeing me, is just to do a few videos, but this video, I have my trusty list here, is going to be for my Exploring My Inner Fae series, and this video I want to talk about the early days of my path, and I swear I've seen a video similar, like really recently, and I can't remember who did it or where I saw it, but I swear, I don't think it was a tag video, but I swear I saw it like really recently. But yeah, I suppose this video just really sort of wanted to talk about what how discovering like Wicca, witchcraft or paganism sort of shaped like my life, and how I got on in the early days, so to speak. But I'll do a little background. I'm sure I've covered in tons and tons of videos before, but if you're a new subscriber and you haven't seen like my older videos, I first discovered paganism, or like witchcraft and Wicca specifically, just before I was 13 through my then best friend Siobhan, and she discovered it through another girl in our year that had just moved over and joined our school from the Isle of Man, and me and Siobhan were good friends at the time, and she said that she'd found out about witchcraft and Wicca, and I was like, oh my god, like, it sounds really cool. It wasn't even that it sounds really cool like a phase, it was more sort of like a, I don't know, like a light bulb moment in my head. Like I've always sort of felt drawn to sort of like that sort of thing, but I could never quite like explain it, sort of thing, and it was nice to be able to sort of like put a name to it, sort of thing. And she'd printed some stuff off the internet, like different things, like about Wicca and like the Wiccan Rede and the threefold law and about the god and the goddess and like casting a circle, all the very basic stuff. She printed loads of stuff off the internet, so I had to look through that, and we used to spend our time in the library like together, and we used to like go on the internet and like research different things and like print stuff off, and then she found a book which I've harped on about this book loads, one of my favourites by Fiona Horn, and as you know she's one of my all-time favourite authors, and it was Witch a Magical, no, what was it? Sorry for me looking, I know I've got it on my shelf. Let me look. Yeah, that was it. Witch a Magical Journey. I was trying to name another one of her books, but it wasn't that one. Yeah, Witch a Magical Journey, and that was the first book that she ever published on witchcraft, and I loved that book. I've shown that book in this video loads of times, but she got it out from the library and I borrowed it from her. But that one, I've got the paperback copy, which is so much better, but this one was a big massive like hardback copy, and I remember reading through it and just being like, oh my god, this is so amazing. And literally from like then on, I just slowly just got more into it, like finding books and things like that. But the difference between now and then was obviously now, if you've just like discovered like paganism, or like using the umbrella term, like it's so easy. Like you go onto YouTube and watch like my videos or anyone's videos. You can just go onto the internet, you can go into bookshops, or you can download like apps for your phone or Kindle books or like anything. There's such like a wealth of information, because like the internet and things like that is so different now. But when I started, there wasn't YouTube for a start, wasn't Facebook either, no, like none of that. Like the internet was, obviously it was Google just about, I think, but the internet was very different then. In bookshops there wasn't witchcraft books, it wasn't the magazines and all that sort of thing. And I remember when I first found my first witchcraft book in W.H. Smith's, I was like so excited, and then literally things just sort of started to snowball. So this is sort of like, we're talking sort of like the beginning of the millennium, and then within the few years after, like slowly the book sections like in places like Waterstones and W.H. Smith started to get bigger, and there was more books and more things, and it was just so like, it was just like really exciting. And like I remember buying all these books, and then reading all these books and starting my book of shadows, and it was nice as well because Siobhan was into it at the time, where she sort of, it was more sort of a phase for her, so she sort of used to drift in and out of it. It was nice to have someone to be able to talk to about like rituals and spells and different gods and goddesses and things, like someone that sort of understood. So it was nice, like, in that respect, to have someone that was like understood that sort of thing. And it was just really, really cool. And I will admit, like I said before, when I first started out, I was obsessed with having everything perfect. Like, I changed Book of Shadows so many times because I didn't like it, didn't look like. Also, this was at the time when Charmed was on TV, and I was growing up watching Charmed. I'm still in love with Charmed now, and Practical Magic as well. This was all at the time when this sort of thing was out. I remember the books in both of those, like in that series and the movie, that movie was so amazing, and I wanted my Book of Shadows to look like that, and I used to get really frustrated because it didn't look anything like that at all. The very first Book of Shadows I had was like a small, maybe like A5 size lined like notepad, like exercise book from W.H. Smith's, and that's what I had for my first Book of Shadows, and like it was not cool. And I was just like really disappointed, and I think that went for rituals and spells and stuff as well. I put off doing them for quite a while because I wanted everything to be perfect. I wanted to have the right tools. I wanted to have a big space to like cast spells and rituals and be able to have a proper circle, and it just it just didn't happen like that. And also I shared a room with my younger sister, who obviously wasn't a witch, but she was really cool and supportive that I was, and it was just annoying because I didn't really have that much space, so I ended up setting an altar up on a shelf above my bed, and that's where my altar stayed. Well, it was on a shelf higher up above my bed, and then I had another shelf put in slightly lower down, so I moved my altar lower down, and it was nice to have a permanent altar set up somewhere where it wouldn't be disturbed and somewhere that I could see it every day. But it was a bit annoying in that trying to like light candles and cast circles and stuff, because I had to stand on my bed, so it was sort of a bit like bumpy and all that sort of thing. But I sort of like worked around it, I suppose. But I'd probably say that was my major drawback, was that I was obsessed with everything being perfect, and it did sort of, I don't know, cripple my practice, maybe hinder my practice slightly. But it was exciting as well in the beginning, in that I was going to crystal shops in different places and collecting loads of different like crystals, and adding different bits like for my altar, and writing things and reading things. And the one thing that I would say about the early days of my path that I'm so jealous about now, that I took for granted at the time, was that I had time. Obviously, like being like at school and only being a teenager, apart from school, you don't have a job or any other commitments. Obviously, you do have like loads of time, and I had time all the time. Like every time I got a new book on anything witchy, I was able to just like spend the weekend or whenever just reading it. And if I discovered a new way to do something, I was able to practice, because I literally just had time, like so much time. And that's the one thing I would say, that if you're starting out the craft now and you're still in school, that is what you're very, very lucky about it, is the time. Is because obviously you do have commitments with school, but it's nothing like being an adult, and you have so much time, and obviously you have so much more energy as well because you're younger. So really, really, really need to harness that and use that to your advantage, because I'm so jealous of you. But yeah, and also obviously I've always been solitary. I've never been in a coven. I've never actively searched for a coven. I don't really think there's many covens around here anyway. It's never really been sort of an interest of mine to be in a coven. I enjoy practicing by myself, and I think that's more just because it's what I'm used to, like for like 15 odd years or however long it's been. Like I've obviously always been solitary, and like I'm just solitary and very eclectic, and I've always been eclectic. But when I discovered fairy Wicca, fairy magic, which obviously is like the best thing ever, like according to me, as well as butterflies, but I discovered fairy Wicca probably, I mean obviously I as I've said before, I've always loved butterflies, and I've always been drawn to fairies as well. And it was probably maybe 4 years? No. Yeah, a few years, maybe like, I want to say I was like 18, 17, 18. Yeah, I think I was round about the year, so it was probably, yeah, maybe it was a good 5 or, yeah, it was a good 5, 6 years after I'd first discovered the path, and obviously I've been, like, practicing Wiccan and whatnot, like, the whole time, sort of thing. It was very much a part of my life, and I knew about fairy magic, but I didn't really properly know that it was actually a thing until my best friend Siobhan, she bought me for my 18th birthday, she got me the Element Encyclopedia of 5,000 Spells by Julia, something like that, shut up, I can see it, so if you keep seeing me look that way, Julia Ikes, or Judica Ikes, something like that. I'm sure you guys have heard of it, but anyway, she bought me that, the big hardback version, and she also bought me, I showed this book before in a video by Marie Bruce, Fairy Magic, and I bought, yeah, so I was reading that. And that book is so amazing. I love her books anyway. And I also, and then I bought Fairy Craft in that same year, in the summer, by Alison and Neil Giddis Ward. I'm rubbish at saying names, but yeah, it's quite a popular book on fairy magic. And yeah, so those two, and I literally just started reading from there, and then from there on I just put the label, classed myself as a fairy Wiccan, which obviously I still to this day very much do, but I tongue-tied, I sort of use the term loosely, I suppose, maybe because I'm more sort of eclectic, but I do like the title of fairy Wiccan because I definitely do sort of like incorporate fairies into my everyday practice and my spirituality and whatever. So yeah, and that was that. And obviously I dabbled in tarot as well, and I say dabbled only because I didn't really have patience at the time. That's one of the negative things I found about being young, was at the time I wanted to learn it now, I wanted it to be done now. I didn't want, that was the same with rooms as well, I didn't want to have to learn and practice and wait a few years for me to be good enough at it to actually be apt at it and be able to be a proper practitioner sort of thing. So, and obviously tarot isn't something you can just learn in a day, it does take time, and I sort of used to dip in and out of it, and I sort of got frustrated and found it complicated and sort of gave up on it, which is a bit annoying. I wish I hadn't just given up on it, because now that I'm older it's a lot harder to try and fit the time and to learn it, but I am trying to properly because I do want to be able to offer readings and do readings for myself and all that sort of thing. Yeah, I used to do like readings for my sister and stuff like that as well, which is really cool. Trying to think of other things to say. That's why this video is supposed to be so much more structured than it actually is. I feel like I've just rambled on about a load of rubbish. But I suppose I just sort of wanted to, I guess, to give you sort of like a little bit of an insight into my sort of like beginning days of the craft, and things like that really, I suppose. I'm trying to think. I swear I had like loads of things to say for this video, and like I just sort of feel like I've recapped on what I've said before. I hope I've gone like in a little bit more depth, but I can't really think of anything else specifically. I know as soon as I turn the camera off I'm going to think of loads and loads of different things, but this was just sort of like a starter like topic on it, just to like sort of like share my story, and I'd be interested to see how you guys discovered the craft and like your early days of the path and all that sort of thing. But if I remember quite a few more things, and I might do a second part to this video, or just do a whole topic on it or whatever. But no, it's just sort of, so I hope I will leave it there because I'm just going to keep rambling and rambling. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and comment below and let me know like what you thought, and like it if you did enjoy it. I'd be really grateful, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Blessed be.